Okay, we've moved along the coast now to Wells next to sea. Another beachside reserve really between Wells and Holkham. Don't know too much about what to expect here. It's another sort of mixed bag of sea-fronting dune-based orchids, so nothing special in mind, but I'm told it's quite decent. So we're going to take a look, see what it has to offer. Just scrambled through the trees to this field, and my orchid detector's gone off. I can't see any yet, but it just looks right. So let's go and have a look. And this little one down in the grass, and I am confident that is a new species for me. That is the marsh fragrant orchid. It's not hugely dissimilar to the fragrant orchids that you find at Barnock, which we call chalk fragrant. This is the marsh fragrant simply because it's growing in marshy soils, and over here most of the fragrant orchids are marsh fragrant orchids. It's got a little tail running behind it which differentiates it from any of the other plants in the field. But yeah, that's a marsh fragrant orchid, and I'm happy to see that's the first for me. Another marsh fragrant orchid just a few inches away. Well, that was an interesting little field of orchids. I think that's known as the Dell. A lot of small orchids, not many of them, but they were all quite interesting. It's good to see those marsh fragrant orchids. They were on my hit list for the week. I'm now pointing out towards the sea, so I'm going to come up to the dunes now and see what's growing up here. It's meant to be orchids on the seafront or near the seafront in the pine woods, so that's where I'm heading to see what we can find. Skies are getting dark. It's going to rain soon. Well, we found the sea. It's lovely and peaceful down here, that's for sure. Absolutely silent. But there's no orchids down here at all, and there certainly won't be any on the beach, so I'm obviously doing something wrong here, so I'm going to keep going along for a wee bit further. Don't want to give up too quickly, but if I don't strike gold, I think I'm going to head back inland a wee bit and circle back around. I need some grassland. It's just dry pinewood forest here. I'm not seeing anything happening. I think if the marsh helleborines were in flower, I might just see them around here. There's a lot of plants that look like helleborines, but without flowers I can't be certain, so I'll just keep going a bit further, you never know. That was a painted lady butterfly. They're migrants. They come over here for the summer. They flood in over the Norfolk coast, and I've probably seen 100 to 150 of those today. I've seen 5 or 6 in a lifetime before today. Some of them make it inland to places like Barnock Hills and Holes, and absolute swarms of them, particularly around Old Hunstanton. That one was a bit of a tatty one. They're actually quite brightly coloured, but yeah, lovely butterflies. Right, well, I went back to the beach. It's just sand. The dunes along waist high grass. The orchids aren't going to grow there. I've come back to the pine forests, and the pine forests are just pine forests. It's just dry. I can't see why orchids would grow there, and I've circled back to this field, which I think is the one I referred to as the dell, which looks right and is right. But there's nothing else. I've not seen an orchid since I left this field. I'm not going to waste any more time walking around in circles before the rains come, and they're not far off. So I did skip through this one rather quickly earlier on the false promise there was going to be more or better further on, and there isn't. So I'm going to do this properly now and have a look around the perimeters and see if there's anything else interesting lurking. I want to leave on a high if I can. I'm just grabbing a shot of these. There's a few of these very, very sparsely flowered, otherwise southern marsh orchids, but there are some variants of the marsh orchid that tend to be identified by the fact their flower heads are very sparse, and so I'm going to just grab this one in case when I look it up it could be something different, but otherwise it's a southern marsh orchid. Another of the marsh fragrant orchids. Probably the big success of this visit to this particular site, or the only success, but I'm quite happy with that. It's one of the flowers that I wanted to see. Well, on the face of it, a nice looking southern marsh orchid, only it's not, because in the background you can see the leaves are clearly spotted, which makes that a hybrid. I would say that's a 99.9% hybrid common spotted stroke or cross southern marsh orchid, without a doubt. Well, this one is an interesting one, lurking in the deep grass in a very, very marshy part of the field. Strange looking flowers. At first I thought common spotted, very strongly marked, but look at those leaves. Now, they're not really spots. There are various, as I said earlier, there are various forms of marsh orchid that are seldom seen that this could fit the bill of. There is a plant called a leopard marsh orchid that has hollow hoops on the leaves rather than spots. I'm not necessarily saying these are hollow loops, but they're certainly not spots. And that flower colour is quite strange. It's a pity it hasn't opened a bit more. It could be spectacular. But I'm going to look that one up when we get back home and try to work out what it is. It's only a very, very small plant, but he's going to be very bright when he does open. Common spotted orchid. Okay, I think we'll call it a day at this one. I kind of think I've missed out on something here today. This has a good write-up, this place, for orchids, and this field is the only place that I found that qualifies as being half decent for orchids. So I kind of sense that I've missed something here, but I'm not going to stick around and keep walking around in circles. The weather is closing down quite fast now, but this feels good. Yeah, I think this is what's known as Wells Dell. It's unlike any other part of this site that I've seen so far, and the orchids here are not abundant. There's not a huge number in this field, but there's a lot that make you stop and take a closer look. And even now I'm not 100% sure about some of the orchids that I've captured. It was great to see the marsh fragrant orchid. It was one of those I wanted to see this week. I'm pretty sure we'll see those elsewhere as well, but that's nice and made it worthwhile. And there's a few others in there, including the bizarrely spotted leafed marsh orchid, which I'm quite interested to find or see what the other experts make of that one. That could make this a better trip than maybe it seemed. But yeah, this field saved the day. It's a nice spot. The rest of it, you can keep that. But as I say, I may have missed something. Right, I'm going to get out of here before the rains come.